Alright guys, so today I'm making video about how I hone my razor. So this is RR14 7/8 half hollow with some synthetic ivory scales on red G10. It's quite a nice model. I like this one. I like the combination of the red G10 and the white alpharin. This synthetic ivory is called alpharin. So I'm going to be holding it up on synthetic 800, 8000, 12,000, and I'll be finishing it up on my Olympus stone. The whole point of this video is to show you how well this stone does on my steel. It's really something out of this world. So I'll be starting and setting the bevel on this stone, which is Naniwa Superstone 800. I use those because they are cheap and they last quite a bit, and it's cheap to change it once it's too thin to be used. Alright, so I always hone my razors at about 45-degree angle. I never hone them up straight at a 90-degree angle. And that's my friend Greg Gallen that actually taught me this. And I believe Matt Robbins also hones his razors at some angle. I don't know what angle, but some angle. He's not honing them 90 degrees to the stone. All right. I'm using moderate pressure just because I know that the edge is already shaving sharp before even starting. There is no edge on, but basically the razor is apexed, so you really don't need much pressure and you really don't need much time on this stone in order to be able to cut hair. Because the edge is so thin, the bevel setting part of this is extremely fast. So what I do is I basically do 2 back and forth passes, and then I just do a countdown. I usually do 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. All right, so I'm gonna check the edge and see if it passes HHT. It should pass HHT, but you never know. Sometimes it does after 2 passes, sometimes it does after 3 passes. It really depends on the grind, the heat treating, and also how thin the edge is. And on some of the grinds, like full hollow is a little bit longer, but half hollow like this, it's usually very fast. So what I do is I just strop it on my strop here. I strop it on the linen first. And then I strop it on the leather. This strop was given to me by a good friend of mine. It's a really good strop. Alright. I always make sure that the razor is pretty much not wet, just because carbon steel, you know, stains extremely fast. So I always make sure there is as little humidity or water on the razor as possible. And then I use a hair, and this is it's an Asian hair. It's from my wife, and those are very good for testing edges. Just because they are so thick, you'll know straight away if the razor is ready or not. So I don't know if you can see this on the footage. And you can see that it passes HHC at the heel. It passes HHC at the middle. And it passes HHC at the toe. So you can see that only, I don't know how long was that, but maybe 3 or 4 minutes. And the bevel is set and is HHC'd, and you really can't even see the edge just because it's so thin. I don't know, but you really can't see it. You really have to look in the light to be able to see it, just because it's so small. All right, so now, I said that during the interview, but basically what I do is, I go straight from 800 to 8000. And you know, I've been looking at it under the microscope, and there is no difference. If I had gone from 800 to 3000 to 5000 to 8000, or straight from 800 to 8000, it just doesn't make a difference. And I'll just check about the video. Yeah, it's still going on, perfect. All right, so this stone is also a stone that I use. It's really fast. It doesn't take long at all. And you can see from the water displacement, this is something that is very simple to do. You can see from the water displacement if there is any problem in the geometry of the razor. Because if the water displacement is only on the toe or the heel, you'll know that the spine of the razor is basically warped. And I don't know about you guys, but razors with bad geometry that have their spine warped, I was never able to hone them on a flat stone. It just doesn't work. I don't know how some guys say that they can hone warp razors on flat stones. I just don't see it happening, just because you'll have to roll it, or I don't know, but you won't get a perfect edge in my opinion. So what I do when I have, not my razors, but when I have razors to restore that have warped spines. I basically hone them on convex stones, convex on the width of the stone. So basically that allows you to pinpoint the edge very easily. But on a flat stone, I just don't see it happening. I don't know how some guys do it, but for me, I was never able to get a perfect edge on a flat stone honing razor with geometry problems. But I've been told by some, I want to say experts, but they are only experts in their head. Some guys that have quite a lot of experience on the subject and that have told me that they can get perfect edges on flat stone with warped razors. I've never seen a tutorial of it, but I've heard it's doable. For myself, I was never able to do it, basically. I was only able to do it with the Jarrett plate and convex stones. So here I'm basically finishing to remove the scratches of the 800 stone. And now it's good. It's good to go. It's good to go to the next stone, which is the Naniwa Superstone 12,000 grit. As I said before, I always be careful that there is no water on the razor, just because it's a bitch to get the rust off once the scales are on and the customer is waiting for his razor. So I basically try to be careful with that. Oh, and this is distilled water. It isn't tap water. So, you know, the rust has a little bit more difficulty to get on the steel when it's distilled water. And I do the same thing again, but I use very little pressure. I use moderate pressure, but not as much as I would on the 8000 or the 800. Because if you do put too much pressure on this stone, you'll get too sharp of an edge, and it's really not comfortable. Oh, and by the way, I'm going to say this in this video because, you know, it's something that, it's a process that I really love learning, but the best edges I ever got in my entire life, by a mile, by far, were edges that I honed on convex stones using the Jarrett method. You get such a thin edge that it's like you're shaving yourself, but you're not feeling the slightest bit the edge. It's so comfortable and it's amazing. It's like you're shaving, but you're not feeling you're not having any skin feedback whatsoever, and it's just so comfortable, and the edge just sings like nothing else I've ever heard before, you know. And I've stopped doing it because, you know, you need a lot of equipment, you need a lot of different stones, you need to shape them, and it's a bit of a it was difficult for me to hone my razors on flat stone for my customers and have all these convex stones on the side to hone my razors. But the time I was doing it, for about a year, the edges I got were absolutely insane, like really amazing. So big shout out to my friend Jarrett for, you know, his invention and for going back to the history books and getting that technique back to life for us to learn and use now. And I basically only HHT the razor after the 800 stone honing when the bevel is set, and at the very end. Because I know that if it's passing HHT after 800 grit, it will be passing HHT at all the other grits. So that's why I'm not checking the edge after that. All right, so that's about it. And now I'm going to go to my favorite stone of all. I've been having so much fun with this stone, guys. I really hope that there will be a restock of these stones, just because they are amazing stones, like just out of this world. Like the kind of edge you get from this it's just beyond me. It's like I've never actually shaved with a razor that comfortable, besides the convex the concave edge razors. The flat edge razors, really, this stone is really like the best edges I've ever gotten, I think, on my razors are from these stones. All right. And I just use it how Michael taught me how to use it, which is basically raising a slurry, a very slight slurry when you first begin, without putting too much pressure, so you're not scratching the stone. And then once I got that slurry, back and forth passes, basically. Circle strokes, and then back and forth passes when you get to the soapy water. And that's about it. Like, I was so lucky to get this stone. It's basically half of Michael's stone. Basically sent me the other half of his stone. And it's such a pleasure to hone on this stone. And it's so hard, it's really so hard for a slate. It's really like, I think, one of the hardest slates I've ever worked on. You can see how long it takes just to raise a very fine slurry. Usually on slates, you raise a slurry in 10 seconds. On this stone, to raise a slurry, you gotta take a whole minute. And it's not even that thick of a slurry. And basically what he does is he dilutes the slurry and gets the slurry, you know, like more watery with each different step. And now I'll just use only water. All right. Sometimes when I hone, I forgot to breathe. I don't know why. I just keep my breath in, and I'm like, when I remember to breathe, I'm like, oh my god. I'm like almost passing out. All right. So now I use soapy water, basically, shaving soap with a bit of water, and to raise some foam, some shaving foam. All right, and now go back and forth strokes. Oh yeah, and I just remembered that I have to strop the razor at this part. like really light passes. Almost no pressure. And I believe I'm done. And you still can't see the edge. Huh? The edge is so tiny that you really can't even see it. And that's how it should be on a razor. Any razor that you see that has a big edge is a big no-no, guys. It's a big no-no. Big edges are not for razors. Big edges are for knives. On a razor, you should not even be able to tell that there is an edge on. Whether it be a neo edge, a full hollow, a half hollow, a quarter hollow, I don't care what grind it is. You should not be able to see that edge. Unless it's a vintage razor and it's been used for many years, then yes. But on a brand new razors, you should not be able to see the edge. On a full hollow, maybe, you know, on a full hollow that has a little bit of a thin spine compared to the height of the razor, you might be able to see a little bit of the edge, but you should not be able to, it shouldn't be more than half a millimeter. If it has to be seen, it should not be more than half a millimeter. Anything above that means that there is too much steel behind the edge, and it wasn't properly ground. The person did not finish grinding the razor properly. When you finish grinding a razor, the way to tell that the edge is perfect is it has to flex under the nail. It has to flex as if it was elastic, you know, as if it was a piece of paper. It has to flex under the nail very easily without much pressure. All right, so now I'm just gonna strop the razor and we'll check that edge. Now for the big moment, the end moment. The moment where we see if all that work paid off. So I don't know if you guys can see this, but it just cuts hair like butter. It's just, you know, yeah, it's just so sharp. And you know, basically that's about it, guys. You know, that's how I own my razors. You can see that I explain things and I was not going as fast as I would if the camera wasn't rolling, but under 10 minutes, basically from start to finish, a razor is honed. Take care.